When did humans begin to think? Understanding the origins of humankind has fascinated scientists for centuries. We know that our ancestors split from those of the chimpanzee, our closest biological relative, between 4 million and 8 million years ago. Evidence from fossil bones indicates that these early ancestors spread out from Africa to other parts of the world in multiple waves beginning at least 1 million years ago. By about 100,000 years ago, modern humans, Homo sapiens, had developed in Africa, and by about 40,000 years ago, they had reached Europe. They also began to have a growing presence on other continents. An interesting question in humankind's development is, when did we begin to think critically? In other words, when did we turn from animals focused only on the daily struggle to avoid starvation to humans who could think symbolically about the world around us? However, answering this question is not easy, as thinking leaves no fossils to discover. A common sense assumption is that higher levels of thought go hand in hand with verbal language because higher thinking, such as creative thought, would naturally seek a means of expression. So, tracing the development of language could give an approximate idea of when humans began to think critically. Interestingly, we do have some fossil evidence related to speech. Animals whose larynx voice box is placed high in their throats are unable to produce the variety of sounds necessary for speech. Fossil bones tell us that in early humans the larynx was originally high in the throat. However, by about 200,000 years ago, it had moved lower in the throat. This lowering provided a larger sound chamber, the space in the throat and the mouth, in which passing air could be controlled by the tongue, making the articulation of a wide range of sounds and rhythms possible. Most languages use between 25 and 30 sounds. English uses more than 40. So, humans were physically able to speak around 200,000 years ago, but when did they actually start doing so? Estimates range from 35,000 to 100,000 years ago. But with no physical evidence of ancient language use, we need another approach to determine more precisely when humans began to speak and to think critically. Professor Richard Klein of Stanford University suggests that art may be the key. After all, no other animal is able to create or appreciate art. It is a uniquely human trait. Although monkeys can put paint on a piece of paper, there is no indication that the result represents any real world objects or any abstract thinking. If ancient humans had the imagination to create a work of art which in itself is a means of communication, then it seems highly likely that they would possess the primary means of communication, language. This suggests that the first works of art can be considered indicators of when language and critical thought began. Until recently, the earliest art was believed to be cave paintings, carved figures, and jewelry found in southwestern Europe and thought to date from about 40,000 years ago. This suggested that humans first became capable of critical thought about 40,000 years ago. However, this time frame was recently overturned by an exciting discovery in South Africa. Anthropologist Chris Henselwood spent more than 10 years exploring a cave there. He found many well-made tools, but more intriguing were the 8,000 pieces of ochre, a soft stone that can be turned into paint. Henselwood breakthrough came in 1999 when he found an ochre piece with unmistakable etchings on it. These were not indiscriminate knife marks, but lines cut in a careful pattern. In other words, it was a deliberate artistic design. Hansel had found the oldest piece of art yet, its date of origin set at 70,000 years, nearly 30,000 years before the art in Europe. Based on Hanselwood's discovery, it seems that humans began to speak and think critically at least 70,000 years ago. It will be interesting to see if any future archaeological finds push this date back even further into the past.